Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Financial Freeway. My name is David J. Attwood. I am the man rocking the Ray-Bans, and I think today I finally have everything sorted out with the camera and the new microphone, so we should be getting the best quality video and audio possible for today's videos, which I'm very excited about. Today it is a blustery, very, very windy and gray day down here in Victoria, but me and the Gapsters are heading up island. For those of you who are intimately know me, you know that my dream has always been to buy a large chunk of property with some space in it and some trees. And I thought I had it 14 years ago when I bought the place that I'm in now. But recently the developers came in, as they do, and I don't fault developers, but there was 4 acres of forest behind me, and they just mowed it down. So I thought, you know what, if there was a sign to move out of Dodge, I think that was it. That was a good sign. So we found this property up island. It's for a fairly reasonable price. It's a very large chunk of land. And number one, it's in the middle of nowhere, which I like. And number two, it's a large chunk of land. So if the developers, or I should say when the developers come, it's not going to make that much of a difference. Well, I mean, of course, but at least I'll have enough trees on my property to kind of insulate myself from that kind of situation. So part of the sacrifices are I'd have to move out of Victoria, which that's what I talk about a lot, is sometimes in order to get what you want, you have to give up something else you want, and you have to decide for yourself what is more important to you. And we talk about that with regards to real estate all the time. Like, some people are like, it's not fair that I have to move out of Victoria. I can't buy a house in Victoria. Well, is owning a house important to you, or is living in Victoria important to you? And sometimes, unfortunately, these are the decisions we have to make. So my decision is, more than anything else, I want to be surrounded by trees. I love trees. I love nature. I love the forest. And so, unfortunately, I can't afford to buy 20 acres of land in Victoria, because that would be gazillions of dollars. So what I have to do is I have to go north out of Victoria, quite a distance actually, to get to a place where I can afford that. And that's the sacrifice I'm willing to make, because that's how much I want this property. And, well, not this property. I shouldn't say this property, because we're going to look at it for the first time today. It could be a piece of crap. But that's how much I want a large chunk of land with trees. I'm willing to sacrifice my location and closeness to some of my family, actually all my family. That's what I'm willing to sacrifice to get this piece of land and retire in the way that I want to. So kind of excited about that little adventure. Another thing that came up is me and Gabby were chit-chatting this morning about some things she likes to do, and it's so funny. In just a couple of seconds of conversation with the right person, you can actually put together and create a business that will thrive. If I were a sniper and I took a shot at a target, I'd hit it every time. But if I was just a really crappy shot and I took thousands of shots at that target, I'd hit it eventually. And I think that's kind of what it happens when you're talking to people. If you talk to enough people, you just chat, just network and get your network out there, get it wide and deep and thick and full of variety and all different perspectives. And eventually someone's going to go, you know what would be a good idea, and it's going to click. And that's when you hit the target. That's when you hit your mark. So I think it's important to do that. But me and Gabby came up with an idea, and we're going to explore that a little bit further for a business opportunity for her. See if we can start something going for her, just her alone. And I'm excited about that. So, and I think I might have sparked excitement in her heart as well, which is one of the passions of mine, is to get people to realize their path to a life of success and abundance. Anyways, today, the topic I want to talk about is I had an interesting conversation about a year ago with a good friend of mine, and he just said, okay, Dave, you've got $2,000. How would you start over? If you had to start over today from scratch, what would you do? So I thought, as we're on this very long drive up the island, I thought, you know what? Let's go through this exercise together and see exactly what I would do, and let's plan it out. So, if I had $2,000 and that's all I had, number one, first thing I do is get a car. It's important to get a car and a vehicle to travel around. So I would get what I like to call a POS car. If you don't know what that means, look it up. So I would get a POS to get me from A to B. And I wouldn't spend a lot of money. I definitely wouldn't borrow the money for the car. I would find a car that is worth, I find a car that's worth $4,000, actually even $5,000. And I would just say simply to everyone I call when I'm looking through the ads, I'd say, I've got $2,000 cash today. I will come pick up that car right now. If it runs, I'll come pick up that car right now. And a lot of people who are selling a $5,000 car or $4,000 car will tell you to go away. But one will say yes. So you go pick up that car, and first thing I would do is get that car, get it up on the road, and I would get myself a job. Now, I know it sounds pretty pedestrian to say I would get a job, but that's exactly what I would do. I would go out there and I would find a job working for anyone, but I would try to work for someone who would pay me either weekly or daily right away. And the first thing I would do with that $4,000 car, as now it's my car, I bought it for $2,000. I would put that car on the market for $4,000 instantly. The moment it was in my name, I would instantly do that. Now here's another thing too, is once I get that $4,000, once that car sells, and it should sell in a couple of days, you know, if it's a decent car, I'd clean it up too, and I'd make sure, get an oil change on it. You know, again, costs a little bit of money, but that's why you need that job. You need to work. You can't get away from work. That's the thing. You cannot avoid work. What I talk about here on Financial Freeway is not avoiding work or getting to a place where you don't have to work. I always believe no matter how much money you have or how successful you are, you have to work. So don't be trying to get out of work. So I'd put that car on the market for $4,000. And I just keep working at my day job, doing skip the dishes or Uber or anything I could do that's a gig kind of thing, so you're kind of paid by your performance. And I'd freaking live in that car if I had to. If I had to, I would. So with Uber, I've heard of guys making $300 a night. Now, that to me seems a little unattainable, but I actually know some people who have actually had, I'll take that, babe, have had $300 nights. But let's say on average you're making $150 a night. So at the end of the month you got $4,500 if you're working 7 days a week. So you have a $4,000 car, you paid $2,000 for it, you now got $2,000 equity. It's a little sketchy when we're talking equity with things like vehicles, which depreciate. However, you paid less than what it was worth. You got it off someone's hands. And now you are you're in the black, so to speak. So after a month of working, you now have $4,500 plus $2,000 in your car. If that car sells, the first thing I would do is, of course, go and buy another car. But I do the same thing again. I would call everyone around. I'd be looking for a $10,000 car, and I'd say, look, I got $4,000 cash right now. If that car runs, I'll come and pick it up today. There are people who will actually do that. You just got to be persistent and make it happen. So now, after 30 days, I got $4,500 cash, and now I've got a $10,000 car that cost me $2,000. So now we're up a little bit. Now, this is the important part. Right about now, after the first month, I'm going to start looking for a place to live. I need a place to live, and I need a place to rent. Now, I was just looking on Airbnb this morning, and the average place, and I mean the average place in Victoria, for renting a room for a single night is $150. That's the average. But let's just, to keep the math simple, let's do it $100 a night. Now you can Airbnb one of the rooms in the place you rent this one, a lot of people don't want to do. They don't want to make that sacrifice. They don't want to sacrifice their privacy, and they might have a sense of security. They might feel threatened by having someone rent a room. People rent rooms all the time. Airbnb is full of people who rent rooms. Now, if you're renting it for $100 a night, again, I'm just doing some quick math. I don't have a calculator with me. I'm doing this in my head as we talk. But we now have a $10,000 car. We have $4,500 cash on us. We're renting a place. If I rent that room out at $100 a night, and let's say I have, let's say I get 60% occupancy, 66% occupancy, which is a little bit below what the average is. The average I found in my experience, being a short-term rental guy, my experience has been that the average occupancy rate is about 70%. So at 66%, just to make the math easy, we're making $2,000 a month on that one bedroom. So if you're renting a 2-bedroom suite and you're renting one of them out, your rent is now free. And here it is. You have the potential to make more money. So let's say you make an extra $1,000 a month. You're making $1,000 a month, plus you're making your $4,500 a night, $4,500 a month. You're making $5,500 a month working for Uber in a $10,000 car, and now you get some momentum here. Now the next thing I would do, of course, is put that car back on the market. I would put that car up on the market so fast, and I would put it up. It's a $10,000 car. I put it up for $10,000, and I would wait until it's sold. And then when I got that $10,000, I would do the same thing again. I would go up, probably not aggressive enough to go, I'm going to pay 33% what people are listing cars for, maybe 50%, maybe even 70%. But if I go into someone and I say, okay, you've got a $20,000 car, and I've got $10,000, I'll take it today. Again, you got to be aggressive with your sales, with your pitch. You really have to, because it's funny, you're the purchaser, but you have to sell them on the idea of selling you the car for less than what they've got it listed for. But now here you go, 2 months into it, you've got a $20,000 car, you're living rent free, and you're making $4,500 a month on your Uber or your skip the dishes, your gig work. Instantly, you are now a player. Now you have a nice car. You've got a place you're living in for free. You have you're running a business, and the cool thing is that this is me just shooting out ideas really quickly. The numbers I'm using for Airbnb are actually below what the average is. What you can make on skip the dishes, I don't know. I like you say, like I'm splitting what I've heard people say. I've heard people say $300 a night. I'm saying let's do 150 just to kind of round it so it's more believable, because that's believable. But the point is now, even if I had to start from zero all over again with just a couple of bucks in my pocket, if you've got a couple of bucks, like we're talking like $2,000 in your pocket, you can make it happen. There is success out there. The only thing that stops people from being successful, it's not laziness, it's not money, it's not having bad parents. These aren't the things that hold you back. What holds you back is belief. I in 10 minutes came up with a plan that anyone with a driver's license could accomplish. And if you don't believe me, go to Google Sheets. It's free. Punch in those numbers yourself. Come up with a plan yourself. Start putting it together. But here's what I did, is I did not go and say I got to find a job, and no one's paying a living wage out there. I didn't whine. I didn't complain. I didn't say, I didn't get that education because I couldn't afford it, or I chose the wrong career, or whatever the case is. What I did is I said, okay, I believe that it is possible to become successful. And remember too, that your cars could sell quicker than what I'm saying. I'm saying they're going to sell in a month. They could sell a lot quicker. And you could make a lot more on that Airbnb, and you can make a lot more on Uber and Skip the Dishes. There is possibilities out there, but the number one thing I did there is I did not confine myself to a single stream of income. In this thought exercise, I instantly started coming up with gigs and coming up with ideas of how to get multiple streams coming in, how to utilize the most of your time, and making money. I'll tell you something, this is really, really important. If you want to be successful, there is no way you can be successful in life by getting a wage. Sorry, that's not true. You'll never... The path to getting wealthy and successful is a lot harder if you go and work for somebody for trading time for money. You trade your precious hours, your precious time on this earth, your heartbeats, your breath. You trade that for dollars. You're giving away your soul, and you're not going to get much back. You got to think differently about things. In my exercise that I came up with, we are leveraging purchasing power with cars, and we're also arbitraging by utilizing the rental space we have to flip that into make a little bit more money. These things are possible. I know there's a lot of other things, like you move into a place, there's furniture to buy, there's security to worry about, you got to buy insurance for your car, there's transfer taxes, there's all these little things. But throwing these ideas out at you, I hope, and I think everyone here at Financial Freeway hopes the same thing, is that it gives you the encouragement and the ambition to go out there, and whatever your circumstance is, don't take the narrative. Don't listen to the politicians. And I want this to be clear. A politician's job is to get hired as a politician. That's it. And when they get hired as a politician, their next job is to keep their job as a politician. So all they're going to do is, their currency is votes. So what they want is, they want to tell all Canadians that it's not your fault that you can't buy a house. It's not your fault that you're struggling. It's the government's fault. It's the rich corporation's fault. It's the immigrants' fault. They're going to blame somebody else. Don't take the bait. The reality is that you have the power to become successful, and it's there. You just have to sit there and start thinking of ways to utilize what you already have, the skills you already have. I'm passionate about this. I want people to become passionate about it. I believe that everyone out there has what it takes. You don't need money. You don't need a good lineage to come from. You don't need, it doesn't matter the color of your skin or your heritage or your race, all that stuff. That's all stuff that they're trying to get us to believe so that we can, number one, be kept down and believe that it's not our fault. And also believe it's okay to be kept down. And it's okay that we can't afford nice things, and we can't afford vacations, and we can't afford to buy a house. If we believe for the rest of our lives that it's not our fault, then we will never ever rise to the level where we can actually start to make things happen for ourselves. Whew! Better than a cup of coffee, I tell you. For me, coming up with plans on how to make money and make businesses is truly one of the greatest things I love. I love doing it. And I am... just went over the Malahat Mountain. It's a bit longer podcast today. I know I like to keep it around 10 minutes or so. But I think this was a great one. Thanks so much for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you share. And might as well click the notification button. And why not subscribe? You're watching it, subscribe. Tell me you love me and you love what I'm doing here by hitting the subscription button. Make sure you check out financialfreeway23.ca. That's where a lot of good stuff is. In fact, I'll put this plan down there on a little blog post there for you, so you can all check it out. And I'll probably, actually, what I'll even do is I'll put a link to a spreadsheet on Google Sheets, so you guys can punch in numbers and play yourself and figure out what you can do. And of course, the number one thing is share the word, spread the good word to people out there, that everyone in the world has an inalienable right to live a life of success, happiness, and abundance. Thanks so much, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a wonderful day. God bless.